Okay, hello YouTubers. I'm going to try this on my newer iPhone instead of the potato I was recording them on before. This is our 1966 Honda S100. It's a 50cc machine. It was affectionately known as a Super Cub, and I got it for next to nothing. And what made me want to get this is it had the original title with it. So it's hard to find documents with these. I know with the Trail 90 that I have here, I traded this for 200 rounds of ammunition, and it was in the same state that this was. This one made me want to get it because of the title, and the other because I remember a young lady as a youth had one of these, and we would she would buzz around the lake on it, and I was I wasn't I wasn't so much about the girl as I was the Trail 90. This Trail 90 was in about the same state that this is. When I did a restoration on it, I did a simple restoration, that is, nothing was professionally painted. It was all rattle can, and I tried to save as many components as I could, such as the cables, the seat. I did have to cut open the gas tank in order to sandblast it, and then I brazed it shut, and of course my paint didn't stick once I got a little gas on it. But everything works. Winkers, lights, speedometer, and it runs and drives, only I don't have a tag because probably cost as much for the title as it would for the bike. So that being said, this was a good deal because automatically I have something that's worth hundreds of dollars, a title. That's what you would pay for this, to have it reworked if you didn't have one, to apply for one. It used to be easy, but now it's hard. This came with various rusty, crusty parts. The gas tank is full of junk, and the seat's pretty shot. I've started purchasing some parts on it. The first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to fix the spaghetti system and to see if it sparked. So I sorted out the wiring on this machine. This machine does not have winkers, nor does it have a front brake switch. It does have a rear brake light switch, and that does work, and it does spark, and horn works, headlights, and all the lights. Once I replaced all the bulbs, they do work. That's about as far as I got. The engine was locked up, had water in it. This is an interesting little engine because it's not your typical Honda overhead cam engine. Instead, it's an overhead valve engine. That is to say, it has push rods. It has two little. It's so trick. I mean, the Japanese and Honda, this tiny little trick little push rods, one bigger than the next. You got to kind of know where they go. Instead of an overhead cam configuration, it's just overhead valve. The cylinder head looks to be pretty good. The valves were not stuck, so I can clean that up probably. It should be all right. The cylinder, on the other hand, I had knocked the piston in such a way that it actually you can't see it, but it fractured the piston trying to get it out of the bore, and the bore is not good. It's okay, and you could probably make it run to that extent, but I have sourced a NOS piston. Can't buy parts for these anymore from Honda, and going to take it down and have it fixed, bored out, that is. A friend of mine I know from a local cycle place, Mouse, is going to bore this for me, and we're going to fit 2 times oversize in it. They go by increments of 0.25 millimeter, and I'm going to go 0.50 millimeter because I'm not quite sure about the pits in it, and I want to make sure I take out all the pits. Had a good original taillight lens, which is nice. Ironically, the battery that had been sitting for, the guy said, 6 or 7 years, was dry. I swiped from a couple of my spares batteries a small amount of electrolyte, so acid, and filled the battery up. I put it on a charge, a little trickle charge, and it shows 6 volts still. So for these purposes, yeah, we can use that battery. One other thing I've noticed is on these bikes, if you don't know, if you get one of these bikes, a Trail 90 or any Honda like that, the old Hondas, they didn't have a lot of keys. They had, you know, for any specific series, they had H series and E series and stuff like that. This is an E series lock, and it says E on it. I know you can't read it from there, but the key has a number on it, 5368. So you can go online, and since they made 65 million of these motorcycles plus, see if I can get this to focus. Maybe it won't focus. Okay, since they made 65 million of these bikes, and if your key is missing or it looks like this, you can order new keys simply by reading the number, and it will fit the lock. Things that I've done so far, I've noticed when I went to fix the wiring on this, the key switch was did not work. I could put a lead to my meter, and no continuity through it, no ground through it. So I took it apart. You can take these apart. It's very fidgety inside. There's springs, and it's not for the light-hearted, I'll tell you that. But it can be taken apart and put back together. I did take mine apart and put it back together after I cleaned the contacts and ever so gently made the springs bigger. This machine is another John Deere tractor, essentially. It's really hard to find factory parts for them. Well, you know, I shouldn't say that. It's not so hard because there's a lot of foreign parts, but the getting those parts, a lot of them have to come from Thailand, and that's quite a wait. You know, you could get 2 weeks looking for something through the mail, but they do make them. They make complete plastic sets and stuff. I shouldn't say that. I should say parts are relatively easy, but you can't just go to Honda and say, yeah, I need a plastic set. One neat thing about this motorcycle is I had bought these online. They're Michelin's, I believe, for my Trail 90, and they're too small for the Trail 90. So when they got here, I was like, oh man, they're the wrong ones. So these fit perfectly. They're exactly the right size for the wheels on this bike. What we're going to do here is we're going to clean it up and paint it, make everything work right, just to make it roll. It was an effort just to make this roll, because the chain was seized all up in it, and it was just, you know, been sitting outside for so long. So we'll work on it. This one was the same way though, so, and it came back to life. Of course, you know, I mean, buy every part for these bikes. Okay, well, here's our tire machines. We're waiting to go into take them to the dealership to see how they're going to work. work out. That's an invention of mine I'm patenting. It raises and lowers tires. It's on rollers, so you can roll the wheel to index it back on the. This holds it in place. Slides back and forth. Depending on how many tires you put on, you put 4 tires on. The whole idea is not to lift, and of course it goes up and down. There you go. So back to the trail by D.